Welcome to another episode of Passion for Property with me, Manni Chopra. And my guest today is legendary. He has bought and sold over 4,500 properties in the UK, a very successful property developer. He is into politics, horses, and football. You guessed it right, none other than John Howard. Welcome, John.
I don't think I've had such a great introduction.
Seriously?
No, never. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you for your time. I
Not
really,
at
really
all.
appreciate
Not at
you
all.
giving
Glad
up
to be
your
here.
valuable time
Glad to
today.
be here.
So 40 plus years in property. I would like to maybe possibly start off with me sharing your best property moments, your projects, your best property learnings, what you could have done better, your challenges. Where should we start?
Well, you're only ever as good as your next deal. So whatever the deals you've done up till now, whether you've made $1 million, lost $1 million, my advice to everyone is that be humble. If you haven't done well, don't worry about it. Move on. If you have done well, be humble, because the next deal is the most important deal. Simple as that. And over the years, yes, I've done a lot of deals, not all good. And anyone who tells you that everything is wonderful and we know that it's like life. It's a sexy game. It can be a sexy game from time to time, and sometimes things fall in your lap. The other day, I got a phone call from a guy I sold some land to about 4 or 5 years ago. I thought, oh, what does he want? And he said, I've got a covenant on the land to stop it, to share the uplift if they get planning on it. And
he was the beneficiary of the covenant.
I'm the beneficiary of the covenant. I sold the land to him.
Yeah.
And I always put a covenant on. Even if I don't think I can get planning on the land, I always put a covenant on because it makes people think they can get planning. And he rang me up and said, I need to get out of this deal, John, blah, blah, blah. But I've got someone interested, but obviously you've got a covenant, which I forgot all about. He said, and can I buy you out the covenant? I said, of course you can. So we agreed a deal in about 2 minutes on the phone, and happening next week. So now and again, the odd thing falls in your lap. But I tell you what, in the last 2 or 3 years, 4 years, it's been very tough for everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how big a developer or how small you are. We're all in the same boat. I mean, we use debt, right? And when the cost of debt goes up to the level it has in the last 3 years, it gets tough, and we are swimming against the tide, I think. It is. And I was fortunate with my residential portfolio that I fixed it for 15 years about 3 years ago at 4 years ago at quite a competitive rate. But on the development side, that's where it really hurts, because we're all paying 12%. And I've just done I do some consultancy and mentoring and bits and bobs. And I've got someone I'm working with, and they're doing 60 odd flats. And we're using a major bank, not a bridger, major bank. And it's working out probably, it's about a 7 million loan, and it's working out at about 12%. So even the bigger stuff is working out at 12%. So everybody's paying 1% a month.
Yeah.
We are, you and other people watching the show are, it's a lot of money. Now, if you're a house builder, you're not paying anything because it's all shareholders' money. So if you're a major house builder, I spoke to a regional house builder, a friend of mine, and he said to me, John, if I was paying 12%, there's no way I could build houses.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I don't know how we're sustaining it, to be honest.
No.
Property developers, I think, are made of something else. Would you say?
I
made of steel.
think we're much, much tougher than the regional or national house builders.
Yeah.
Because they're paying no interest because they've got shareholders and they pay a dividend when it suits them. Whereas we are paying 12%, 1% a month, every damn month until they're sold.
And we've been thrown everything at it.
Yep.
Brexit, lack of construction materials, lack of
Yes.
labor, interest rates. I mean, and we still don't stop, right? I think we are either crazy or we think the next deal will save us.
The selling is in the buying. So you've really got to buy cheap.
Yeah.
You really have. And, when you consider that build costs have probably gone up, materials 40% in the last 5 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
That's
easy.
Probably, and then the bank wonder why some people, and we've all got the odd development which we probably wish we hadn't bothered doing.
Yeah.
Because, but that's why, it's tough. It's tough.
It is tough.
People shouldn't beat themselves up about it. Like I said, if they've done well, fantastic. If they haven't, don't worry about it. Get on to the next deal and make some money on that one. Learn from what's happened so far.
In terms of the development aspect, then what would you say is the perfect opportunity right now? New builds, getting planning on grey belt, conversions, permitted development. What do you think are the opportunities right now?
Well, that is a massive question. What I would always say is do what interests you. Because if it doesn't interest you, I don't do HMOs. I used to do them. If you used to call bedsits in my day, and we used to collect 50 pence coins out the electric meters. In fact, it was 10p to start with. But anyway, long time ago. Now, I don't do HMOs because I have no interest in them. So whatever you do, you need a passion.
Yeah.
You need to be interested. And you can make money out of all those things you've said, even now, if you're sharp enough and you know what you're doing with it and you have a bit of luck. You do need a bit of luck sometimes.
Yeah.
I had a bit of luck with that phone call the other day.
Yeah.
Out the blue. Thank goodness I did. So you do need a bit of luck and you need things to go for you a little bit. But all those things you can make money on. All those things you can.
Luck, I think, is also, I think we create our own luck in many ways. You talk about humility.
Yeah.
Talk about, karma.
Yeah.
Creating, good karma will bring you luck. That, in my view, that's as simple as that. So here we are. We've got this massive debt in the UK government. We only talked about, I think yesterday it was the 30-year gilts went up to an all-time high of 5.7%, which is a 30-year high or 25-year-old high.
Worse than when Liz Truss was in.
Much worse than the Conservative Liz Truss,
Yep.
as it were. But so government is broke. We are spending way too much money, 100 billion a year on servicing the debt only, just the interest only. We are spending, 300-400 million on universal credit, disability allowances, all of this stuff. Politics more than I do. What do you think? Where are we going? What's happening to the UK government, and where does it go?
I had a dinner with a Conservative MP called James Cartledge, and James was telling me, and he's absolutely right, that when you've got a government that can't get through a 5 billion reduction, which is what they tried to do, cut the welfare 5 billion. Starmer could not get that through because the backbenchers revolted, and that's after 1 year of government with a 100-seat majority. That's trouble. That's huge trouble for a prime minister. Massive trouble. And when the Tories were in under David Cameron and they only had a 16-seat majority, they were that disciplined. They got everything through they wanted. And that is the difference between...
So did they? Is that what happened?
That's genuinely true. That is the difference. Starmer and Labour are in big trouble because they're sounding more like a Conservative government.
Funnily enough.
Yeah. But the backbenchers are socialists.
Yeah, they are.
And
the
that
real
is a
leftists.
massive problem. Massive. The Tories, and as you know, I've moved to Reform, that I've been trying to... I've been, with 5 years of making excuses for some of the Tory things they did. They had 14 years to do a lot of the things that are now coming out. They had 14 years to do it, and they never did it.
That's the thing.
So they are busted flush completely.
You think they're underwater now?
They're underwater for quite a while, I think, because everybody remembers what they did or what they didn't do and what they could have done. I just think they've got a lot of internal issues and problems to sort out, in terms of leadership, I think, as well, because it's highly unlikely that Kemi Badenoch will be the leader at the next election.
I've always been a Conservative voter in the past, but they've given us Brexit. I'm not sure if you were a Remainer or...
I was a Leaver, so I was a Leaver like a lot of people. And funny enough, at the time we were doing the wine rack in Ipswich, which was a 26 million project, 150 flats, and we had a lady helping us on the finance side with Homes England, and her husband worked at the Bank of England. And I said to her, because she was very London centric, if you like, and I said to her, I'm for leave. It was during the campaign. We were campaigning, and she laughed, and I said, I bet you're going to be a Ramona, aren't you? And she laughed and said, no, John, I'm to leave. And she said, my husband at the Bank of England works at the Bank of England, and 70% of the people at the Bank of England are going to vote leave. And when she said that was about 2 weeks before the election, before the vote. And I thought that was the first time I thought we might win. But the problem is we haven't got on and left properly. Lots of advantages, and the Conservatives haven't had the balls. They've had COVID as well, to be fair. And a lot of the debt, of course, we've got now is some of it's because of COVID, to be fair to them, to be fair to Labour or anyone else. But we never got on with leaving properly. We always half-hearted about it. And if Reform get in, which hopefully we will do, we will get on with it and we'll do the job properly. We'll finish the job off that should have been done 5 years ago.
But what does that entail, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I mean, taking back control, coming out the European Court of Human Rights. That's bonkers. That's so dated now. You know, at the time it was a wonderful thing to do, but it's been ambushed, hijacked by these lawyers and all the rest of it. And you can't do anything. The human rights laws are as they are now. So, and actually, if Rishi Sunak had the balls to say at the last election, we're going to come out of it and we're going to do this and that and the other, they would have lost, but they wouldn't have lost by so many. Yeah.
No, I mean, look, if you are a leaver, and we are where we are right now, do you still think leaving was a good idea?
Yes, I do. And the one thing about Reform, it's the only party that is going to rescind the Rent Act, the new Rent Act.
The Renters Reform Bill.
Absolutely.
And they definitely are going to do that.
That's in their manifesto. They're going to do that. And I'm passionate about, I know you are as well. We've spoken about this as friends before on the phone and emails and stuff. I'm passionate about getting rid of that. It's unfair. It's not right. They didn't go as far as they could have done, thank goodness. But of course, they might now in a year or two change that and go further. But it's pretty onerous. And of course, that started with the Conservatives. Yeah. You know, Michael Gove, and I saw Michael Gove at the last Conservative conference I went to. And I spoke to him and I said, Michael, you know, congratulations, you've thrown 2.4 million private landlords under the bus.
100%.
Which is what he did. And I said, you're a disgrace. And he just, walked off, wouldn't speak to me.
And the thing is, landlords traditionally would vote Conservative.
All of them.
And they've literally...
They've alienated all of us. How mad is that? How mad is that? That's how stupid the Tory party have become.
So what?
They were more left-sided than Labour.
What is
God
going
knows.
on then?
I think someone said to me, a cabinet minister said to me a while ago, he said, the problem is, John, when you get in power, you don't want to, when you get the power, when you get elected and you get the ministerial car and everything else, you want to hang on to that as long as you can. And you were saying do anything to hang on to it. He got chucked out, but he said they'll do anything. So in the end, you don't please anybody.
Yeah.
Because you're saying yes to that, yes to everybody, and you can't do that. You've got to set your stall out, and you've got to be honest about it, and you've got to be forthright and argue your case. And some people won't like it. That's tough.
But the thing is, isn't the answer to stop these 5-year elections and have longer governments? So if you look at successful countries, for example, Singapore, China, for example, as well, even though we might agree with a lot of things they do, they've got governments in there for 10, 15, 20 years who then are not worried about this exactly same thing where you've just said, oh, we have to do popularism or populism, whatever it's called, because we want the votes, we want to stay by, we want the cars, we want the, the money that goes with it and everything else.
Well, of course, the Conservatives were in for 14 years. And in the last 4 years, it was what we would consider a rotten government, wasn't it? There was sleaze, there was this, there was that.
No, they were in for 14 years, but every 5 years they'd have, like, for example, Section 24 one time they introduced to put landlords under the bus again.
Absolutely.
Right? Then there was Brexit, which was the biggest, although you are a leaver and you loved it, but it hasn't been great so far.
No, I agree.
It might be in the future, and hopefully you'll tell us different. But, the big thing, renters' rights, they started it all.
Disgraceful. They started it.
So what's the solution?
And also they got Rishi, who is a brilliantly bright man, Rishi Sunak.
Mathematician more like,
absolutely.
Right?
He got rid of the entrepreneurs relief that Blair brought in, which if people came to this country or anywhere, an entrepreneur started a business, the first 10 million, you pay 10% tax on your profit. First 10 million profit,
Right.
10% tax.
Okay.
He brought that down to 1 million. And this Labour lot, have reduced it even further. So what is the incentive for someone? That was the lowest tax rate in the world for entrepreneurs.
Wow.
So what is the incentive now for a tech expert, entrepreneur, say, who can put his business or her business anywhere in the world, just about, to come to Britain?
Yeah.
Apart from we speak English.
How much tax do you get now? How much the relief is
Well,
gone?
the corporation tax is 24%.
So that's what they would pay.
24%. But Ireland, of course, brought their corporation rate down to 13%. They had a 65 billion euro surplus last year, 65 billion. And the reason for that, they've got all the big companies there, Google, everybody's there because of the corporation tax. We could have done that in this country. Liz Truss tried to do it, but she did it far too quickly. She didn't talk to the Bank of England. She didn't talk to the city. It needs to be phased in. And that's what, again, Reform are talking about, reducing it down to 16%. In time, you can't do it straight away.
Exactly, and that's what I mentioned the other day. Well, if Dubai and whoever, which are this Lisbon and Portugal, Italy, all of these people are
attracting millionaires,
non-doms,
and
millionaires.
And the millionaires who are going, they're not billionaires. We know friends, joint friends, who are going to Dubai and these other countries, and they're not multi-million. They're millionaires.
Yeah,
and they might spend 100,000 a year in this country. The government are trying to make out they're all only billionaires are going. No, decent people are going who have established businesses in the UK and employed people, and they're giving up and going. And that's a very serious problem for the government. Very, very serious. The stats they've got on it are 2 years old for a start.
Yeah.
So they don't know how many people are going. But just from the people you know and I know and our friends, there are a lot of people going.
Yeah, 20% of my friendship group, I think, are probably leaving for sunnier climates, literally.
Literally, sunnier climates. It's very serious.
And then you got the employers' rights bill coming up. That's scary as hell. Who's going to employ people?
Well, a friend of mine who's got two hotels and a restaurants and bits, he said to me the other day it's going to cost him 500,000 more.
To run the restaurant.
500,000 extra costs
NI
on top of.
And minimum wage.
Yeah, but the minimum wage, the thing about the NI, it was started at 10,000 or something. It now starts at 5,000. So he has a lot of part-time workers. Who are now going to be
So you have to pay NI for the minimum 5,000 a year if you earn.
He was saying that with the NI and minimum wage, his wages have gone up something like 38% in the last 2 years, 2.5, 3 years.
How are you going to sustain this?
That's right, because he said the thing is also, it's not just the people who are on the minimum wage, because when you've got deputy managers and people and see the minimum wage goes up, guess what they want? They think, hang on, they're earning nearly as much as me now. So they want their wages to go up as well. So it's a big, big problem.
And also the rights. I think people who are going to start getting employed are going to have a lot more rights. Apparently.
Well, at the moment, if you've got 2 years at the moment, we employ 45 people in our estate agencies, and you've got if you make a mistake or whatever when you employ someone, you've got 2 years to be able to say sorry, but it's not going to work out or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, day one, it's going to be day one. You can't get rid of them.
So is this actually coming in?
That's coming in. Yeah, Angela Rayner's bringing that in. That's nice of her.
So what's happening now? This UK PLC is in a completely, I would say, deflationary or negative spiral.
Well, I on the show I do with Ranjan on his YouTube channel. I'm not allowed to put it on mine apparently because it's his show.
Oh,
yeah, it's his show. So, but I predicted that inflation would be 5% by December. Now I think it might end up 4.5%. I'm out probably, but I don't. But that's a major problem because it means interest rates probably won't drop
up again.
Well, they might go up, but they certainly won't drop any more than they have done. I don't think.
Yeah.
The whole thing is very tricky, and the budget that normally is in October, they now pushed it back as far as they can, end of November. And the uncertainty that brings with the property taxes they're talking about.
Yes.
Now they fly a kite. They bring all that. They throw these ideas out to see what the response
the NI on
NI and everything else. And on my YouTube, I did something on my YouTube on 2 days ago, and I've had 62,000 views on it already. and it was about the tax, and I've had 400 comments about it. So it just shows you how worried property people are about this topic. They really are concerned about it.
Yeah.
I don't think all of them will come out by any means, but it is a concern, because what's happening is in our estate agencies, for instance, we've got people now saying, well, is it worth putting it on the market because all this tax? Are people going to buy? Are people going to be out there wanting to buy? So uncertainty in the property market is the worst thing. Uncertainty. If you know where we are, what it is, you can deal with it. But the uncertainty is the problem. And pushing it back to the end of November is not good for the property market.
It's going to slow down it even more. I mean,
sure.
You got hundreds of landlords putting properties on the market because everybody wants to leave.
Yes.
Even though, like, for example, if you ask me, you want to sell up, and I'm like, I'm trying to hold on, but there's only so much you can throw at a small, landlord or developer.
Yeah.
Compliance has gone through the roof.
Yes.
Inflation has gone through the roof. Interest rates.
Yeah.
Everything, and property prices are stagnated as best.
But Manni,
what are we going to do?
We sound very negative, and I'm the most positive person in the world, just about, and you're positive, and we're saying this. So what are the people who aren't very positive in the first place? The one good thing about this is that there'll be bargains. We love a bit of blood on the street, don't we, Manni?
Yeah, we do.
We want to make some money. You need a bit of blood on the street. You need some distressed sales. And you can call us vultures if you want.
I wouldn't. It's just an opportunity.
But opportunities. And you could argue, well, if someone's desperate to get out of a deal and you can buy it off them and relieve them from all that pressure and worry.
Yeah. We've been called greedy landlords, greedy developers.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a war on us anyway, right? You might as well go out there and show them.
A lot of tenants will say, well, the rents are too high, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. But when there's a hole in the roof and they want the roof repaired, they're straight on to the landlord saying, well, if the landlord says, no, we can't afford to do the roof because the rent's not enough, what happens?
I mean,
So
I got a
you've
call.
got to be realistic.
Absolutely. I got a message the other day from an email from the tenant, and the admin email is saying, oh, it's we need the heating on. And I was like, it's 22 degrees at 11 p.m.
Yep.
Why do you need the heating?
Yeah, spot
You
on.
know what I mean? It's just like absolute insanely requirements, and they expect us to fulfill it within 24
that's what
hours.
the tenants about. But the problem is, it's like hiring a car. When you go on holiday and you hire a car, you don't tend to look after it the same as your own, do you?
Absolutely. And there are good landlords.
Yeah, there's
bad
good landlords. But the majority of landlords these days are pretty good. In fact, the worst landlords are some of the housing associations.
They are the ones with all the mold, and Awab's law was because of social houses, not because of private landlords.
No, I agree.
And nobody's demonizing social landlords.
No.
So I'm not sure why.
And I've just become a non-exec director of a housing association, so we'll see how we got on with that. I'm learning a lot about it. It's very interesting.
It's a different world, isn't it?
Different world. I've got to speak very kindly and softly with them. Yeah. You can't be too aggressive with that lot.
Right. But there's no harm in that. But look, so we've talked about this whole problem area, right? What is the future? We've got the bargains to look forward to.
Yep, definitely.
So we should all be getting our investors together, getting our investor pool to get all that money ready for.
And where do the bargains start? The bargains start in auctions. The auction market is the barometer for the property market. So when things get tough, you see it first in auctions because people need to fire sales and they put in auctions to sell. And when things are starting to get better, you see it in auctions first. So we bought Auction House UK in 2010. We became the biggest auction house in the UK on lots sold, not the amount raised, but on lots sold. And I sold my shares in 2022, and I regret that. I wish I kept my shares, but my partner, who wanted to start winding down and retiring, and that was one of our assets that we could sell quite easily. Yeah. So that's what we did. Yeah.
So you've sold, but auctions are doing very well right now. Right?
Auctions are doing okay. They're not doing as well as they were. And what you have to appreciate with auctions is when they say they've had a 60% clearance rate. They've sold 60% of the stock. That's the stock that gets a bid on. So if they withdraw from the auction or they don't get a bid on it on the day, they don't count those in their figures.
Right.
So is it really 60% clearance rate?
It's probably more like 40 to
50.
Yeah.
When it's a genuine 40 to 50% clearance rate, they've got a problem.
Yeah.
They've got a problem. A lot of them say, "Oh, we're still selling 70%." It isn't 70%.
Yeah.
It isn't.
I mean, like I said, at the moment, the way the market is going, it seems so. There's listings a galore. There's like 30,000 listings
Yeah, there's more
every.
properties on the market now than since 2012 and 15% more than last year.
Yeah, and 100,000 reduced properties on the market at this point. So what is there not to like, right?
Well, there you go. We've turned it round. We've reframed it, Manny, from being a negative to a positive.
Yeah, and the thing is, in a up market, you're never going to find those bargains, are you? Ever?
Do you know what?
Because you're going to compete with every Tom, Dick, and Harry who wants that
when
deal.
I spoke at and by the way, your property event, Titans, is the best property event I've ever spoke at, and I mean that.
Thank
the
you.
quality of the people, the amount of people, the way you organise it, and I do a lot of them. Some of them, you wonder why you're there. But I think I might have said this at your event. My dog's called Mabel, and Mabel could, if her paw was a signature on a contract, when the market's going up, she would earn a fortune because she'd keep pressing her signature, which you can do now on a bit of computer, which I never quite understand why you don't have to do it with a wet copy, but you don't. She would make a fortune. She'd make more money than I would.
Yeah.
Because she wouldn't be cautious. She'd be out there, the market's going up, we'll keep going.
Yeah.
The difference is she doesn't know when to stop.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in a hot market. I tend to walk away from a hot market and everyone carries on and you think, I should have carried on for another year or two. But in the end, it goes down.
100%. So I bought something in 2021. As you know, the market was starting to get hot. I think I overpaid by 50, 60, 70 grand.
We've all done that.
Then the construction costs went up a lot more. Then another 50, 60 grand on top. And then when it came to valuing the flats 2 years later, I think it was November 2022 when the Liz Trust thing happened, I got down valued. So it's like everything was like against this particular deal. But like, we've all done these deals.
We've all done them. And anyone who says anyone who's active in the property market and says they haven't lost any money on pay or they haven't done and made a mistake is a liar. Yeah. It's as simple as that. And when you think about it, being a property investor or a property dealer or contract, whatever, developer, trader, you are every day, you have challenges you have to overcome. Every single day there is something
to deal
that you have to overcome. And you are a problem solver more than anything else. You're a problem solver and you solve problems.
So tell me, John, you've got all these different businesses. Now you've got this estate agency, the auction house, which you've sold now, but you had it. You've got developments. How do you find the time? How do you juggle your time?
Well, I'm a very good delegator.
Amazing.
My one of my stepdaughters, both my daughters, I'm very passionate about women in property, and I speak at Hard Hat and Heels and with Hayley Andrews, and she's on the elevator with us. And I'm very passionate about women in property. There aren't enough of them. It's getting better. What I always think is that my daughter says to me, "You love the glory, John." I said, "What do you mean by that?" She said, "Well, you get the deal done to start with because you enjoy doing the deal, and then you come in at the end and take all the glory." I think that's a bit harsh, isn't it? She said, "Not really, no. Now, only a daughter could say that to you.
And get away with it.
So I love the deal. If I could do nothing but buy portfolios and sell them off individually, trade them, and I love that relationship. I love meeting people for coffee, a meal, doing a deal with them, shaking hands.
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen very much anymore. It used to more. And the grind I find is construction. The grind and
it's
the big jobs. So we're doing a 85 flats scheme in Ipswich, another tower which is part built. That's
new build conversion.
It was a tower that was never finished, and we're recladding 215 flats on behalf of the buyers, the people, the lessors who
own it now,
own them, and we also got 85 which are empty. So the government are paying for the cladding for them, and we have to do the work, and then we get the tower. And on a job like that, consultancy fees 1.3 million, construction 14 million on the front. Actually, that's a lot easier than it is doing 10 flats where I've got to be much more involved, because when you've got that many consultants sucking up to you, who you're paying,
They do the job,
they
right?
do the job.
You just have to oversee it and supervise everyone doing their job.
So where we struggle is when we're buying something for $500,000 and it's worth 1.5 when it's done. We're meant to be spending $500,000 on it. We end up spending more and
then
messy.
your margins are squeezed.
Yeah, and of course, the difference now between in the old days, or a lot of the time, any mistake was papered over because your sale price went up.
Yeah.
That isn't the case. We're all exposed.
Yeah.
None of us look very good at the moment, to be honest with you. Not many of us look good. And certainly I don't look very good at the moment on some stuff. And, getting out of those deals, de-risking deals and knowing and analysing and seeing the signs when things start to go wrong early and doing something about it is really important.
Key.
De-risking, absolutely key to know what you're going to do if it goes wrong. Always have an out before we have an in. Always know what you're going to do if it doesn't work as well as you hope.
Right. So in terms of then you as a developer, for example, are you part of like a consortium of people or is it just your business?
No, it's just muggins here most of the time. I've got a partner. Well, his father backed me when I was 24 years old.
Wow.
And Mr. Boyce, we all had to call him Mr. Boyce as well. And they own the holiday property bond, which is it's worth 500-600 million now. But the son, Andrew, and I still do deals together now, 40 years later, 38 years later.
Wow.
And that's lovely. So I do stuff on my own. I do stuff with one or two high net worth backers, if you like.
Yes.
I don't borrow any money off any
banks.
Yes, we do, unfortunately, but I don't take any money off any investors.
Yeah. So there's 2 or 3 people you work with.
Yeah, that's it. And I've worked with them for a long time. And when I do my little I only do 4 master classes a year because I'm busy doing my own stuff and so on. And a lot of people say to me, John, can we invest with you? No, you can't. I really don't want to.
You don't want the smaller.
It's not. It's
not
a lot
something. Of work.
It's a lot of work, and not only that, I if it went wrong, I would be devastated for them. Yeah, I don't want to go there.
So
I don't need to, and I don't want to.
Sure, no, I get that, and you're comfortable with where you're at. You don't need to take these risks. But say someone who's starting out now and is looking at these bargains, this massive amount of reductions, and saying, "Okay, I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to be contrarian. I'm going to go against the tide. I'm going to start buying property."
Yes.
If they want to start getting investors on board, because your own money runs out very quickly.
Very quickly.
What would be your tips to these sort of newbie investors?
Well, that's interesting because that really leads me on beautifully the Property Elevator Show. So thank you for that. So Series 8 is on Amazon shortly. Series 9 we're filming next February. So investing in the person as much as the deal. So you've got to be likable. If you're not likable, and I always said to the kids, treat everyone the same. If you're smiling, say good morning to the gardener, just like you would say good morning to Sir Richard, whoever. Treat everyone the same. Treat everybody with respect and bloody smile. And I'm not being rude, but teenage children don't always smile. And I say, take that face off and put your smiling face on and get out there because it's so important. First impressions, they say on a date, don't they? And I'm a bit rusty on that, but they say on a date that the first 6 seconds or 10 seconds lasts for God knows how long.
Right? The first impression.
So important to smile and connect. Find something that you can connect. Might be cats, might be dogs, might whatever.
Yeah.
Find something. Be pleasant. Be humble. And so you need to be likable.
Be yourself, but make extra effort to be
don't
nice.
Be yourself if you're a bastard.
If
you're a miserable bastard, don't do it. If you've got it, you have to try and smile. And there are a few like that, aren't there? But I shouldn't talk about bank managers there aren't any bank managers anymore. Who are bank managers? We never see any.
They don't exist.
They don't exist. Bankers maybe. So likability, super important. Don't over egg yourself. Don't big yourself up too much. Under promise and over deliver. Mm-hmm. If the investor says they've got $500,000 to if it's a man and they say they've got $500,000, they're probably showing off. So read that, be smart about it and say, well, I only need $250,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's a lady, they're much more modest and they're probably telling the truth. So but never ask for what they've got. Always ask for less. You're trying to gain their confidence. Very important. And also ask them where they want to invest. Because quite often they only want to invest within, say, an hour of where they live, because they want to go and see it. They want to tell if they're men, they want to show off about it and tell their friends, oh, I've invested in this. All that silly business. A lot of ego going on with men. So, but they feel comfortable. And don't forget, they quite often got a partner.
Yeah.
And they might have to get the partner, whatever they might say, to agree to it.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to get on with whoever their partner is, be it a business partner or a relationship partner. So, always see it from their angle. Don't ask for too much. Don't ask them for too much risk. If there's any problems, tell them early, because then they can organise the money to put more money in if they need to.
Yeah.
And always somehow have some skin in the game. And when I say skin in the game for some of the listeners, I mean, even if you haven't got any cash to put in, perhaps, a personal guarantee, second charge rent, something, and always guarantee the loss as much as them. So if you've got a 50% share of the profit, undertake to have 50% of the loss as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully there won't be a loss.
No.
But anything that gives the investor confidence is what you need to do. After the first deal has gone well, that's great, because they've got more confidence. They'll lend a bit more money the second time, and you can build hopefully a long-term relationship like I have with them.
Yeah. So you say, like you said, be humble with it, and
Always be humble.
always ask for less than you.
Always ask for less than they say they've got.
Yeah.
Especially on the first deal, because they're putting their toe in the water.
And also, if they don't invest in this deal, they might invest in another deal if they like you.
Exactly. But don't throw 3 deals at them at one. Just do the one, get it going, get some confidence amongst yourselves. Find out their role as well. So if their role is the finance, let them have the bank account. You don't need the bank account. You don't need to have access to that bank account. Let them have that. Give them confidence. If they want to buy it in their own company, let them buy it in their own company. And you have an agreement to take 50% on a consultancy at the end, or whatever it might be.
I mean, they've got far more experience than you, right? Let's put it that way.
On the whole. So give them the confidence they need to do the deal.
And they could become your backer
Absolutely.
for future, forever deals, yeah?
Mr. Boyce, for 38 years. Oh, Andrew, the son now, yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. So how have you seen that whole property elevator scene change? So have the deals changed quite a lot from when you started out to
if
now?
you watch the first series, we all have our head in our hands because it looked dreadful. Now it's a proper production. We've got 7 cameras, nine lights, a videographer going round doing, I don't know what videographer do, but they go round and all sorts. So it's a proper production. It's expensive, and we've got a really good sponsor in Roma, and Scott Marshall, who is the MD of Roma. He's on the show as well. He's really good on the show because he analyses the deal. He pulls the deal together at the end and says, right, this is the deal. You want to borrow this, you want to do this, you want to do that. That's that.
Summary.
Summary. He sums it up really, really well. And that's really important. And we've seen some people come in with some very big deals, which realistically are unlikely to get funded, to be honest with you. And we have some people who are very humble and who is their first deal. And we have some people, ladies, that want to work only with Hayley, which is a bit of a waste of time. The rest of us sitting there, to be honest with you. We've even had one or two want to work with Ranjan. I know, it's amazing. Who would have thought that? So we've all got different specialisms, if you like, on the show. We're all different. The producer wants me to be the Simon Cowell, the nasty one, although Simon's now is a bit softer now on some of his shows. I'm probably harder than him. So that makes me out to be a bit of a bastard. But there you go. Someone's got to do it. And someone said, well, that's okay, John, because it comes naturally to you, which is a bit harsh. And it's great fun. We're filming in February next year. We stay in the same hotel for 4 days. It's really good fun and we enjoy it and we're all friends. A lot of people say to me, oh, you don't like Ranjan, do you? And I go, yeah, I do. He's a friend of mine. I said it's a banter and a bit of fun and so on. And the show is educational.
Yeah.
And some deals get done. I mean, a lot of the deals that get agreed don't get done because the deal falls through or it's not quite what
Yeah,
it
it's
appears.
the timing as well, isn't it? The
Timing is very difficult because really when I came up with the idea for the show, the idea is that obviously people come on the show who have got a deal that needs funding because it's timing. So we don't go out and market the show too early because the deals will be dead.
Yes.
So a sort of 3 weeks is about the window of opportunity we have to market the show and get people to come on the show. But we manage that, and as I said, we've done 8 series, and we're going to be doing a 9th. So fantastic.
Brilliant. So what's the future now for you? Are you going to be looking to do more deals, given that there are more bargains in the market? Where are you looking? Where are you?
Well, that's very interesting because I'm a deal junkie, really. So I love doing deals.
4,500.
Yeah. So
Deals.
Yeah. So I love doing deals. So what I'm going to try and do, I think, is do a little bit less all over the UK because I've got two schemes in Scotland, I've got Birmingham, I've got all over. So I'm going to try and do a bit, and I bought a couple of deals, developments locally recently as well. I've got 3 locally I bought in the last 4 months. So I'm going to try and perhaps do a little bit more local. I've applied to be the candidate for the reform for the Mayor of Norfolk and Suffolk, same role as Sadiq Khan. So if I get that role, of course, I'll be busy locally. I'm going to try and do less. I say less development. We're just about to start 85 flats, aren't we? But never mind. I'm going to try and do less construction. Yeah. Unless they're big. So I don't want to be doing the smaller ones because I just find the smaller ones are the ones where it's too much
margins are too
and the margins are difficult and so on. So what I'm going to try and do, more investment.
Yeah. Invest in other people's deals.
Yeah, investment in other people's deals, but also investment in assisted living potentially. So where you can really sweat the asset more. Yes. So you can rent it to assisted living, rent it to the council.
So what, you buy a house?
Yeah, so buy in bulk if we can, and look at. I mean, I've got a portfolio across the UK, residential portfolio, like many people. Yeah. But I want to. What I want to try and do is grow my rental income because I think in the end,
sweat the asset
more, and grow my rental income further. Because I think in the long run, if I want to stop doing developments, then I've got that rental income. I mean, I've got.
You probably don't need to.
I've got everything covered, and hopefully I don't need to work. But I do. I enjoy it. But every time you take on a development, you're taking on a bigger risk. The margin should be the margins are bigger if you get it right. Whereas with investment, it's a slow burn. But for some people, it depends on your appetite for risk. Yeah. And de-risking is very important, but there's still a risk involved in development. And being a developer compared to being a property investor are totally different businesses. Would you agree with that?
I mean, yes. I mean, in terms of
totally
100%, it's a different mindset, different ball game, different end game, really. And even with development, do you end up selling a lot of yours, or are you keeping a lot of yours?
Some of the people I've advised recently, I've said, look, the market's quite tough. If you can buy a house in 4 flats, refurbish them. If you can buy 2, sell 2. Keep 2, refinance, get all your money back plus some profit and move on. Yeah. That's quite a nice way of doing it.
Yeah, that's actually quite a clever way. And I was thinking that's a very clever idea because not only do you get your money back, which you can then recycle. Go again. But you've got some skin in the game, which for future, when the capital does appreciate, then you can.
Exactly. And the old days, you could do it buying 1 property. Now it's very hard to get all your cash back out. But you can get your cash out if you do perhaps 3 properties. You can then get your cash out by selling 2, keeping 1, or whatever it might be. And I think we're much more aligned to doing that going forward, I think, than we are doing what we've done up till now.
And have you considered like other landlords and bigger landlords to sell, like on a mass
scale? Because the amount of tax I'd have to pay.
Oh gosh,
that is very prohibitive, to be honest with you. I'm trying to put it all in my family trust, which I've set up, but that's not easy. My accountant said, and everyone out there, by the way, who's got residential property, start a family trust as soon as you can. Do not leave it. And I left it too late, really. Yeah. They're not expensive to set up, and you can put £650,000 worth of assets if you're husband and wife. Yeah. Every 7 years, roughly. Yeah. don't listen to all these fancy schemes that say you can do this, that, and the other. Talk to your accountant. If it's a sensible accountant, they'll know exactly what you need to do. Because whoever's in government, I mean, Reform are going to stick it up to 2 million before it starts.
Oh, stick up what?
Stick up the so you can give away £2 million before
in a trust.
Yeah, before you. So if you die at the moment, you die.
Your estate
inheritance tax, anything over 700,000 is 40% tax.
Yeah,
40%.
That's crazy.
And that's under Conservatives. Labour might even shove it up. But under Reform, the threshold will start at 2 million. So that makes a lot of difference.
Anything less than 2 million, you don't have to pay inheritance tax.
That's the idea. But for people, of course, if you have a trading company, you've got no problems. But of course, property investors have got assets, and those assets all come under inheritance tax. So it's very important to set something up early.
Yeah.
Because every 7 years you can do it. You can move assets across every 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
But with Reform, I know you've moved to Reform recently now, and you were talking that they're going to remove the Renters' Rights Bill and increase the threshold on the inheritance tax. How are they planning to fund all of this?
That's always a good point, isn't it? That's always a good point. And any government, any political party will probably say they are. It's like almost like a wish list rather than you can't do it automatically. You've got to do it over time. But of course, if you can attract companies to invest in the UK, you're going to, you suddenly, things change quite quickly. At the moment, no one wants to invest in the UK.
I mean, do you remember 2005, 2010, that period before Brexit, let's put it that way? Everybody wanted to come and invest in the UK. Chinese were coming in millions.
Yes.
People from Singapore, name it, Far East, Southeast.
We were considered a safe bet.
A safe bet. I mean, we still are safe from a legal perspective, but we don't have any growth in the economy. No growth in the housing market.
Growth. And what really upsets me about waiting till the end of November for this budget is that, we need it sooner rather than later, because all we're going to do is tread water till the budget.
Yeah.
And they need to be radical. They need to come up with some. And what really disappoints me with Labour is that they've had 14 years, if you like, to come up with some good policies.
Conservative,
they had 14 years to come up with better policies.
Oh, fair enough.
Labour have had all that time to think about what they're going to do, and they knew they were going to be in power for the last 3 years. And what did they come up with? Virtually nothing. All they came up with was
taxes,
compliance and taxes,
and punishing businesses,
punishing older people who are with the heating allowance.
Yeah, I mean everything. But they've had to
farmers
inherit land tax.
Yeah,
they're reducing business property relief as well.
Yeah, and also don't forget they had to go at pensions.
They had to go, but they couldn't get it through Parliament, right?
No, but they'll have another go at that.
So in terms of the housing crisis, and this flat market we've had for a while, and potential.
I mean, by the way, when right movement people say, "Oh, it's gone up 2.4% in the last 12 months,"
inflation is
who bloody cares? Because of inflation, it's less. But even if it wasn't, even if inflation was zero, it's gone up to 2.4%. That's like it's not even an opinion.
Peanuts.
It's not even an opinion. And Paul Mahoney, who's on the property elevator with us, always says, it's a micro market. Some areas might go up 8%, some areas might go down 5%.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So it's a micro market, but on average, 2.5% isn't worth talking about.
Okay, well, going back to the housing crisis then, you've got no first-time buyers, no Help to Buy anymore.
Oh, I've got an idea about all that.
Go on then.
So I think people, certainly people, say doctors and nurses, they get 23.7% pension contribution on top of their wages. Okay.
How does that work then?
Well, basically, if they're on, say they're on £30,000 a year, the government put in £10,000 into their pension tax-free for them.
Okay. Yeah.
So I cannot see why we don't allow
part of that pension,
those people to be able to borrow against their pension to put a deposit down on a home.
Oh, yeah.
Why not? The argument is, well, when they're 60, they won't have such a big pension. And my argument to that is, no, when they're 60, they'll own their own home outright. Yeah. If they then want to do an equity release or something to get more cash, they could do.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, they're not renting, they own.
That's such a good idea. So that's for all the health workers.
So certainly, if you're 23% contribution, why not? Why not let them release some of that? And also, with anyone paying normal NI, why can't once you paid into the system for say 5 years, you can actually have some of that out. It's not a lot, but you could have some of it out to put down on a deposit. Why can't we allow house builders to lend deposits? In the old days, that's what happened. You get insurance companies would lend on a second charge on a house. So the first lender would lend 85%, the second lender would lend 15% on a slightly higher interest rate. Why don't we let
if they can afford it, if the affordability is
if
there,
they can afford to rent, they can afford to buy. To be honest with you, most people,
because the rents are normally higher than the mortgages.
Why don't we let employers lend deposits and take it out of salaries? There's all these things that we could try and do to get the housing market to help first-time buyers. The average first-time buyer at the moment is 36 years old or something. My God, right? You don't want them at home till then.
What are you doing?
You want them gone at 21 or 20, don't you? Or they go to university with a massive debt and come back. They shouldn't be going to university. Get an apprenticeship, get working. There's far too many people, I think, going to university. They're coming out with perhaps not the right attitude, some of them as well. They've sat around for 3 years doing nothing. Not everyone.
Not all of them.
Not all
of them.
And if they want to be a doctor or a lawyer, that's great. Go to university. Architects. But a lot of people are coming out not getting a great job. A sparky, an electrician, a plumber, a plasterer. That plastering's hard work, mind you. They can earn big money.
Yeah.
And there aren't enough of them.
Yeah, no, there aren't.
Nowhere near enough.
So that would start shaking out the market, right? Because there'd be more first-time buyers in the market. Yep. The demand would go up.
Absolutely.
Because that's the problem now. Extra supply, therefore the price is flat because there's too much supply in the market.
There is, but also you need to, in some areas, you do need to control. You need young people to stay in expensive areas. So the way to do that, I think, is to allow councils or housing associations to build houses that are for local people. They have to be sold to local people, and there is restriction on the value of those homes. But it gives people the chance to buy.
So reduced. So you call them shared? No, not shared ownership.
Shared ownership of a sort. Yeah. There is shared ownership now.
Affordable housing.
Affordable housing, but where perhaps they're discounted for first time buyers who work locally, live locally, and want to stay local.
But the problem, John, is the councils are not building. I mean, they stopped building, 40 years ago? When did they stop building?
Well, the best year ever was 1967. We built 367,000 houses.
Councils did.
Yeah, well, everyone in total. Since then, it's disaster. Last year, they built 190,000. This year, they're going to build 220 or something. It's nowhere near enough. Angela Rayner, if she's still around, 300,000 houses a year. That's not enough. We need to build 500,000 houses.
But we are behind.
And of course, as soon as you're behind for 1 year, then you need to build 450,000 next year to get the target. And then you don't do 450. You then need to build 550 the following year because she wants 1.5 million within 5 years. She's got absolutely no chance. But what she has done, she's managed to persuade the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Thieves, to fund £39 billion worth of funding for social housing, small developers over the next 10 years. Now, they won't be in for 10 years, so they've probably got 10 or 15 billion available. That's a lot of money. So if you can tap into that market.
Private? No, social.
Social housing, but also they made 100 million available, which isn't a great deal, but it's a start, to small developers.
Now, not necessarily social, could be private.
Yeah, private, yeah. And
how do we access that money?
Through Homes England.
All right.
So Homes England is the government bank that was set up by the Conservatives. They might change the name because, of course, it was a Conservative name. Of course. And they might call it something different. But basically, that is the government property bank. And they've lent billions of pounds to housing associations, councils, private developers. We borrowed 20 million off them to do the Winerat, the 150 flats, which was a stalled development in Ipswich. And that was the largest loan they'd made at the time to private developer. Since then, they've lent much more money to lots of big developers. So
do they work like a bank? Like they'll give you like a 60-70% loan to value or something?
They'll do more than that.
Would they?
They'll do it without personal guarantees as well, on occasions. So, but their idea is they don't want to lend to people who can borrow the money off another bank because it's using resources. They only want to lend to people or housing associations where it's difficult to fund the development. Then they'll come in and fund it because it delivers more stock. It delivers more properties to the market.
Do they fund more sort of maybe challenging schemes?
Yes, definitely.
Slightly different schemes where...
Absolutely.
Not run of the mill.
And they're looking for value for money for the taxpayer.
Of
That's
course.
the key. Value for money for the taxpayer. And at the moment, we're trying to get a 3 million grant from them for a development we're doing. And then there's lots of grants available out there.
From Homes of England?
England, from local authorities. There are...
I know air source heat pumps, a lot of the eco stuff that you want to do.
Yeah, well, the eco stuff's a bit of a red herring, isn't it?
The
I'm a dinosaur.
What do you think
I've still got an oil tank lorry coming today to fill up my oil tank. Of course, they wanted to get rid of the oil about 2 years ago, didn't they? No oil tankers allowed, or no boilers. Now they've had to go back on that.
No digging and all that.
Because it was actually bonkers, so they've gone back on all that for a while. But, the problem is, it's like eco houses. The problem with all this modular modern method of building, it's too expensive. So until they get the price down, traditional built houses will always be the most popular. You need the top 10 house builders. Top 10 house builders in the UK build 61% of the houses. If you can get them to start doing modular, if you can, and up to now you haven't.
They've resisted.
They've resisted because they cost too much to build. But if the only way to break that cycle, and I went to a meeting with the government with one of the housing ministers, can't remember now, 4 or 5 years ago, and trying to persuade small developers like us and big developers like Persimmon and everyone to get on board with modular. And the fact is, it's too expensive.
Is that the one thing that's stopping us from doing it? Because Europe is way ahead, America is way ahead.
Two things stopping you. One, it's too expensive. And 50% of the factories, modular factories last year went bust in the UK. The second thing is, how do you fund? The bank won't fund it from the factory to the site. So you're not going to let a modular home leave the factory until you're paid.
Yeah.
And the bank won't pay for it until it's on site. So the government were coming up with some scheme, Homes England where they would fund or underwrite that. I don't know what happened to it, because I don't think it ever happened, but that's, for a small developer, massive problem. Massive problem.
Yeah, and that's why they can't do it. And that's why they're not doing it. And the factories had to close down.
Exactly.
Which is a shame, really, because
crazy.
I understand that whole eco madness is going on right now with EPC till 2030, and Victorian houses are not very compliant with all of that. But there's a massive fund for that as well, right? Is there?
There is a massive fund, and actually, you can get away with. There are some criteria that actually, if you read up on it, and I don't want to quote it now because it's probably going to be wrong, but there is some criteria where you can actually get out of having to prove you've got a C or a B by the condition of it or the age of it. Listed buildings, for instance, would be one example. But I've got, I'm looking at a system which is being used in Europe that you spray onto the walls that makes your home become an EPC rating of A.
Wow,
you're not allowed
material.
Yeah, you're not at the moment. It's going through all the tests in the UK, but it's got a world patent on it, and the guy that's developed it's used in Europe already in some countries. Very exciting.
So some brick houses, you could use it on brick houses.
So you spray it on the inside.
On the inside.
On the inside. So you spray it on the plaster, and it creates a thermal
insulation,
fire safe. Yeah. And that could be a game changer for many, many housing associations because they are stuck with all this stuff. So there's a lot of exciting things happening and stuff that I want to get involved in a little bit.
Yeah.
Invest in maybe,
So you'd say deals versus businesses. Where do you find yourself more? I know you love a deal.
Deal. And what I tend to do, I tend to set the... at the moment, we're talking to an assisted living company who want some investment. So, and I've got a partner who had a hedge fund. Does help.
Money.
Yeah. And he's all over it like a rash because he loves business.
Yeah.
He loves business. And I'm dealing on the property side of it, saying, right, what properties do you want? How do we do it?
Yeah.
I leave my partner to
fund the
to sort out all the complexities of the business. I'd much rather concentrate on the bit I'm relatively good at rather than the bit.
So
that
you're going to
I
source
would
the
do
houses
if I had to.
Yeah.
But he's like a pig in you know what, because
Yeah.
that's his bag. Business, growing businesses, selling businesses. So I do my bit, he does his bit, and we'll see how we get on.
So what's the model? You guys are going to work with a supported living provider?
Yeah, so we've got there's a supported, there's a number of them, but there's a supported living company that wants some investment.
Yeah.
So, and that's my hedge funds partners bag, big
Yeah.
growing businesses. So
Yeah.
chucking some money into it and making
So
it
they
grow.
can create a bigger team,
Exactly.
provide more care.
But of course, they'll need more. They need more properties, more this, more that, more
Yeah.
construction, whatever. So that's my bag of it. So there's a really good a guy who's running it all and done very well successfully. Wants to push to the next level. I can help that happen by bringing in my partner,
Yeah.
and and some of the money's mine, but more his than mine. And then so I can help them push the construction side and get
Yeah.
bigger. And
Will you
find
build new
form-
houses, or are you going to conform the existing houses too?
Probably buy existing.
Yeah.
Find deals, find the stuff they want. They can do their magic with it all, and we can get it funded.
Right.
And then we build it up, and then we sell it.
So you're basically going to house vulnerable people,
Yeah.
with like dyslexic,
Yeah,
autistic,
and there's different types. There's 16 to 24-year-olds assisted living
Young.
that just need some support. They've come out the care system. They need some support. They're not, they need to have support and manage to get to work, find a job, get to work. They need that sort of support. And then there's others, sadly, that need more support and help
Yeah.
than that. So
learning difficulties, I think you call
yeah,
them, don't you?
you're absolutely right. And, unfortunately, there's 75 children going into care every day in the UK.
Every day.
And that's children, so it's a massive problem for local authorities. So Suffolk County Council, I think I'm right in saying, are spending 74% of their budget on care for the young and elderly.
74% of all of their budget.
Yeah, goes on social care. How is that sustainable? How?
I don't
Madness,
understand.
isn't it?
But I think you're right. If we can't stop that, how do we then grow to get more money in?
The only way I can see you can grow to get more money in for all these things is by attracting businesses to come and set up in the UK.
Yeah, attracting more business, attracting
To
millionaires.
do that, you need to bring taxes down.
To bring bringing taxes down, bringing millionaires, giving them non-dom status back, if possible.
Well, why did the Conservatives get Rishi, who is, you'd thought, the most...
His wife was a non-dom.
Exactly. I mean, why would you... I'm just like self-harming.
Yeah.
I mean, the Conservative government ended up self-harming themselves, really, and the general
And they
public.
deserve to be in
And they deserve to be where they are.
live in.
And this Labour lot have carried on.
Taking it
even
even worse, because that's what they are at
Even
their heart,
worse.
right? They're socialist
Totally.
governments.
They're socialists.
So-
and anybody, they don't believe, well, we didn't think they believed in owning more than one house, did we? But we might have changed that now with Rayner. But it's good socialists.
Only 3 houses are
Only three.
allowed.
Socialists, and that's, to be fair to Jeremy Corbyn, you have to respect him in a way, because he's got core beliefs and he keeps to them. And, he's not a champagne socialist. The ones I hate are the champagne socialists. Well, hate is too strong a word,
Yeah.
but the ones I dislike
Yeah.
are the champagne socialists because, they want the trappings of wealth and everything else and they pretend to be socialists. And they're not socialists.
Yeah. I mean, look, we've gone down the socialist route and this is where we are.
Guess what?
We don't have the money.
Doesn't work.
We're broke.
I've sat on a couple of these panels at these events and I've had some bloody idiot next to me saying, I don't mind paying more tax. I'm happy to pay more tax. I say, well, you can pay mine then if you want.
Yeah. If you're that...
I'll ring you on the 31st of January and you can send me a check. It's ridiculous.
Problem is, people don't want to pay more tax. That's the end of it.
And why
Full
would
stop.
you? You want to look after your family. You want to have
On holidays.
You want to have a
good
legacy.
life.
You want your legacy. You want your children to benefit from what you've achieved. And this government wants to take all that away.
Well, look, we've looked at all this negative stuff. What's the future? What's your vision personally from your property business, from your deals? How many more deals do you want to do?
Well, the Rolling Stones are still going in their 80s.
Yeah. Well, you've got to keep going. That's for sure.
So why would I? And people say, "Oh, aren't you going to retire?" No, why would I want to do that? I love doing deals. I don't want to be on as much pressure as under now. I've got 2 or 3 developments which are hard work to sort. I'm sorting them, but they're hard work. I love advice. I'd love doing consultancy. I love helping. I've got a few people I mentor. I love doing that. I really enjoy that. They're nice people. And they've got a bit of money, and I can really support and help them.
And help them grow to the next.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that.
Actually, would you share your little bit about your property education? What sort of, how could people get involved?
Yeah, so most people, I do 4 master classes a year. I get 10 to 12 people, and that's all. Most of the people I get, I've got a bit of property and they want to pivot to something different, or they want advice, or they want to grow, scale, whatever, which is what I can do. And from there, 1 or 2 people a year, 2 or 3 maybe, want to do some mentoring with me, where we get together twice a month and discuss and advise.
Go into the detail of it and try and help.
And then I've got 1 or 2 banks and people who ask me to look at projects that have gone wrong, and it's nice to see other people's problems that have gone wrong. It's quite actually nice, rather than your own for a change. So that's nice. So I love that side of it. And obviously, if I'm fortunate enough to become the candidate for the mayor for Norfolk and Suffolk, and if I'm fortunate enough to win, which would be, again, a big ask, then obviously that's an interesting role, because you get 500 million budget for infrastructure. Infrastructure to me is the key to everything. Without infrastructure, without the foundations, how can you build more schools? How can you get more companies to come to Norfolk and Suffolk? Infrastructure is the key. Roads and everything.
Rails,
everything. Yeah, and that
so
really does excite
me. How much would be your budget?
The budget is 500 million. You're given by the government
for the 5 year.
For the 5 years. Start.
Yeah,
but then of course you'll go with the beg and bowl to the government and say, look, we need more. We need to negotiate. I love negotiating, meeting people, talking to people. And that's what
for the wider good.
Absolutely, and I think personally, the Conservatives felt the role is for a politician. Reform think it's for a business person. So hence Reform.
Well, to be honest, politicians haven't done very much. We haven't got very far with the politicians.
Most of them have failed one way or the other.
Yeah, absolutely. So if there was this one tip you would give on our sort of last, as we're winding down this podcast, to someone who is, disillusioned by the whole property game, maybe has a few properties, thinking they want to sell, they want to, they're not sure what to do. What would be the advice to give someone who's kind of on the fence on the property market right now and thinking, not quite sure?
Well, what I would say is, I regret selling a lot of the properties that I've sold.
Seriously?
Over the years. And I go past and think, God, why didn't I keep that? Probably because I need to pay school fees and tax, by the way. And if you don't need to sell and you're not going to benefit hugely by selling, what is the point? If it's washing its face, lock it away, forget about it, because it'll come good. It'll come good. Property's a cycle. It's a cycle. Average, probably not so much now, but certainly the average was 5% a year for 20 years. It's probably less than that now. It's probably 3% for the last 20 years, a year for 20 years, isn't it? Probably.
Yeah.
But it's a cycle. They'll go up. It won't always be as tough as this. It will get easier. There'll be different angles, different ideas, like now letting to councils are desperate to rent for 5 years off you, things like that. No maintenance, guaranteed rent. So
new opportunities come along.
And if you can afford to keep hold of it and just sort of lock it away, almost wash its face, then you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't get stressed by it. Don't worry about it. It will improve.
Economy will fix itself.
Definitely.
It'll have to.
It'll have to.
We can't go any further down from here where we are, I think. We're at the right bottom, I think, pretty much.
I think we're going to bob along where we are. I don't, maybe it might get a little bit worse. And anybody thinks, by the way, this government's going to, fall on its sword in a year is Turkeys don't vote for Christmas. That they'll be there for 3.5, 4 years.
One last thing before we go. Have you heard of this guy called Javier Milei?
No.
He's the president of Argentina, I believe.
Right.
And he's following this whole school where I think he's come in. I think he was showing a photograph with an axe. Basically, he's come in and literally cut the spending down completely.
And he's sorted crime out and everything else as well.
So do you think that's the way to go?
I think it's whoever takes over from this government is going to have to dish out a lot of pain, sadly.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've been spoilt, you know.
Way too spoiled.
We've been spoilt. We've had it too easy for too long. And this Conservative government have given or subsidised 850 disabled cars. 850,000 people in the UK have got a disabled car. Now, I'm sure there's 250,000 people need a disabled car. 850,000? Really? Come on.
They need to go back to face-to-face consultations because I believe it's all being done on the phone now.
Madness.
I think something's going to have to give. People can't be scamming the system as much as they're doing right now. And I think that, you know, as you said, someone's going to have to be, you're going to have to need someone like Donald Trump. Don't get me wrong. I'm not his supporter, but you need someone like him.
You need someone ballsy enough, radical enough to actually put their head above the parapet. So this has got to change. We need to do this, do that, do the other. And that person is Nigel Farage.
Wait and watch.
Wait and watch.
Absolutely. John, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
I wish you luck with all your amazing deals to come and your supported living news project and everything else. But thank you. And I'm looking forward to speaking
and it's always a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Guys, if you enjoyed watching that, please do like, share, subscribe and comment for regular property updates. Titans is a property education and collaborative platform which is effectively a community of property professionals, investors, developers who like to come together, connect, engage and help grow each other's businesses. Find out more, teamtitans.co.uk.